Hey, it's Kai. Today we are learning KZN, which is basically SQL's version of if this, then that. Think of it like sorting mail into different bins based on the address. By the end of this, you'll be labeling data, building categories, and doing conditional math right inside a query. Let's go. Imagine a bouncer at a door checking each person and deciding which line they go in. CAs. When is that bouncer for your rows? It looks at every single row one at a time, checks the condition, and hands back a value based on the answer. In short, it's an if statement that lives inside your SQL query. Quick vocabulary so nothing trips you up. A condition is just a yes or no question, like, is the score above 90? A branch is one of the answers we can give. And a row is a single record in your table, one customer, one order, one line. That's all the jargon we need. Here's the whole pattern. You open with CAS, then stack up your when checks, each with a then answer. The ELSC at the bottom is your safety net for anything that didn't match. And you close it with END. Read it top to bottom like a checklist and it just makes sense. Here's the trick that surprises people. Case doesn't check every condition and pick the best one. It goes top to bottom and the very first when that's true wins. Then it stops looking. So a score of 95 hits the A rule first and never even sees the B rule. In short, order your conditions from strictest to loosest. Let's walk a single row through it. The score is 85. First check, is it 90 or above? No, skip. Second check, is it 80 or above? Yes, so it returns B and stops right there. Notice it never even glances at the ELSE. Clean. There are two styles. The searched CASI lets you write any full condition, like greater than or a date check. The simple CASI is a shorthand when you're just matching one column against exact values. The simple one reads cleaner, but it can only test equality. When in doubt, reach for the searched version. This is where case goes from handy to genuinely powerful. Drop it inside sum and you get a counter that only ticks up when the condition is true. So one query gives you paid invoices and late invoices as separate columns side by side. Honestly, conditional aggregation is the most underrated thing in SQL and this pattern alone earns its keep. Here's a trap I fell into early on. I left off the ELSE, assumed the leftovers would be blank, and instead they came back as NULN, which quietly poisoned an average I was calculating. It doesn't throw an error, it just gives you wrong numbers. In short, always add an ELSE unless you truly want NULL for the misses. Because the first match wins, order matters more than people expect. Look at this. The 80 check sits on top, so a 95 hits it and gets labeled B. The A rule below is dead code that never fires. You might wonder why your top students all got Bs. In short, put your tightest conditions first. You got cousins to KC. A for IF are shorter but they change name and behavior across databases so they don't travel well. QLSE is great, but only for one job, swapping out NULs. KC is wordier, sure, but it runs the same everywhere and handles anything. My honest take, just learn KC well and you really need the others. One caution, if your case grows into 20 nested branches, that's a signal, not a badge of honor. Big fixed mappings often belong in a little lookup table you join to, not buried in a query. Case is for logic, a table is for data. Keep it small enough to read in one breath. So that's case when. It's an if statement for every row, it stops at the first true branch, and it turns raw data into labels or conditional counts. Remember to add an ALSE and to order your conditions strictest first, and you're set. Some things in tech are genuinely hard. Liking this video is not. Subscribe while you're there.